All right, I am joined today by Perryn Olson, a principal and fractional CMO at AltCMO. Perryn and I have worked together at a prior stop, and Perryn, it's always good to catch up with you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's fun to have a little pre-show banter too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was really good to catch up. Um, well, Perryn, on Breaking BizDev, our focus is all about beating up and breaking down business development for professional services firms. And given your experience in the construction industry specifically, I'd love to really kind of drill down on that. So, my question to you today is, in your opinion and based on your experience, what do you believe is broken about the way construction firms specifically go about business development?
Uh, Everything's broken. I mean, it's across the board. There's a lot of things that are wrong. A lot of times it's just because construction companies don't actually have like formal business developers. They were started. The founder was the Rainmaker. They have very ad hoc systems. Um, I sat in a business development meeting yesterday, and the Rainmaker just like was like, "What are you working on?" He's like, I'm not working on anything. I'm just the phone buzzes and I pick it up." Like he's just been doing this for 30 years, and he's built a relationship. Stuff comes to him versus his, and he doesn't understand like his his business developers are struggling because they don't have those relationships. They don't have that network, and they're out like hunting, and he's essentially farming. Like, there's just that thing. But the biggest issue I really see across the board is the construction mentality of we'll figure it out. That will make that work. So every client, you ask anyone in construction, what do you specialize in? Everything. Who's your ideal client? Everyone. What's a good project? Anything. Like anything with profit margin. It's okay. Can we narrow that in? So like the first thing I do with every construction company I work with is what's your ideal client profile? And I'm like, we're gonna nail in the ideal. The word is ideal for a reason. It's not make it work. And I build out this like matrix form of the rows are ideal and then good, make that doable and then not a fit. And there's points associated with that, and the columns go through the different type criteria. So like that's a rough matrix for an ideal client profile. And it's kind of the principles of account-based marketing. I don't want to say it's account-based marketing because all those ABMers are going to like shoot me one day. It's like ABM light, because you can't go full bore account-based marketing construction straight off the gate because so much stuff is broken. But like just getting them to start realizing like there's an ideal client and there's not. And sometimes they really struggle with that. So you almost have to reverse engineer the clients. Okay, let's go through your clients, and you kind of go through some different criteria. Like, which clients do you like working with? Which ones pay on time? Which ones respect your expertise? Which ones will let you do pre-construction versus have to do a hard bid? Like you just kind of work through that stuff. Which one lets you do your processes? Like I've got an exterior contractor that they do materials and how like they buy the materials and they do the labor. And then some of their general contractors want to buy the materials for themselves. So they're kind of at the mercy of that general contractor getting the materials in time and even getting the right materials and all that stuff. So, they like general contractors that let them buy the materials themselves. Like that's a simple question. It's not and in most of the general contractors, like, oh, you'll do that. They like, that's great. You'll take on that. Then we're not going to take on that burden. But it's almost a red flag for them now that the general contractors are doing it. So like it used to be when I started working with them, oh, we can work with any. And now it's the point where like that's a red flag. We are not working with any general contractors, residential or commercial, that will not let us buy our own material. Like they won't do it. So it's that shaping of that. Oh, who's really your ideal client? And then that fixes a lot of the operational issues. And one of the other issues is not talking operations. Like when you ask, who do you like working with? I don't really want to talk to the business developer and who they like to go to golf with, or who you like to go to sports games or go out to lunch with. I want to talk to operations. Who are the asshole clients? Let's stop bringing more asshole clients in, right? I know you can make it work. It's all our jobs and stuff like that, but why make it hard? Let's bring in the clients that actually like us. It's, you know, I was even talking to two different contractors in the same week about education. They both had a specialty in K-12 education. And it was so different. One of them talks about like their favorite aspect of education is inviting the kids in on like these little mini field trips. They're building something next door, and they'll have a day where all the kids come in, kindergarten through sixth, eighth grade, whatever.
See all
They
the
come
big
in,
trucks, the cranes and
correct.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
and another one I talked to, and this is different states. Another one's like, man, we do, because I was helping them more in a pursuit. they go, when we're at a school, it is a zero tolerance of meeting the kids. And it's just like, it was like, we don't talk to the kids. We're not allowed in our own light. There's fences up. There's like all this protocol, and there's just zero communication. I'm like, oh, that's really different than the other guys I talk to that are like, they basically treat a job site like a children's museum. They built children's museums. So it's like, do you like education? He's like, we do, but it's a bit of a pain. And I'm like, why are we pursuing? And I'm telling about this other contractor that never worked with that other one in the past. And I'm like, they love education. It's all this, it's all about building community and the field trip. And they're like, no, that'll never fly around here. Like, that's just not the culture.
That's really interesting. You bring up some. There's two really good points that you brought up, Perryn, that I'd love to unpack a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
let's go.
let's start with nailing your ICP, and then I do want to get back to the Rainmaker model. So it sounds like those are kind of the two things that, in your view, are like really broken about the way that construction firms go about business development. So in terms of nailing your ICP, I think you brought up a really good point about going beyond just specialization, like industry specialization. It's really about the kinds of clients and what are the behaviors that you look for that make an ideal client. Do they pay on time? Do they value the community? Do they let you buy your own materials?
Yeah,
right.
That's a simple. At least that one's easy. I have one client in their ideal client profile. There's a column for not an asshole, and I'm like, how do we know that before they go in there? You know,
sometimes it's not worth charging the asshole tax. Sometimes it's just not worth.
Well, it's funny, and sometimes it's based on the architect. You know, the architect dictates that relationship too. You know, so that can be a big thing. If architects are very collaborative, and in software, some of them they kind of wall off the client, and you never actually meet the client. You know, it's very adversarial. So, you know, that's a big difference too, and that's one of the benefits of working with architects. You know, but it's yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. Like, but most of them are just so this mentality will make it work, and as long as it's got a profit that we're happy with, we'll make it work. And I'm like, but a lot of times you're missing the back end of things. Like, it's amazing as you fix the ideal client profile. Obviously, we know in business development, like deals close faster, they're easier, you have less competition. There's all these other things. What also happens in construction is retention goes up. We save on recruiting fees because we're not burning through our employees. Like, it's weird, this cause and effect that people don't normally associate. We're burning through our employees and losing people. We have like a 10% churn rate on field employees because our business development operations are broken.
Well,
And
because you're
it's
doing
like
all sorts
they
of
don't
kinds
get
of
it.
work, right?
Correct.
You know, and that wide range of different kinds of projects requires different skill sets, and so you're burning out key employees who are, the all stars, and then you don't have enough work for other kinds. And yeah, totally, the downstream effects of the "we'll do anything for anyone" have a major impact on employees.
Well, it's that adage too of, do you fire your rock star employee? Do you fire your most profitable client when they're just jerks? Like, sometimes that is the issue. You're burning through stuff. Like, I had a company I worked with, their COO was just a complete jerk, and they had to essentially spend so much money to protect everyone else to try to keep them there because of this one jerk in leadership. Like, that's totally an issue in business development, and this is why I made a comment earlier. It's like, I don't really care who business development wants to play golf with or go to lunch with. I care about what operations wants. Like, let's talk to them. Like, one of my favorite things working with clients, and I don't always get to do this since I work nationally, is go visit a job site. And I want to do it for two reasons. One, I like job sites, it's fun. But it's also, I want to go talk to people on a job site because they're going to tell you the truth. They'll tell you everything is wrong with business development. Yeah, I've never done sales before. Listen, they'll be very frank about what's going on and what's not, and who actually runs the company. It's sometimes fun just to get out there, just to hear the truth.
Yeah, that's true. Getting outside of the office so you can hear the truth. So I think that's a great segue. So you mentioned talking to people on the job site, and let's talk about that Rainmaker model.
Yeah.
Stanbon Ness put out a
them.
study recently about like the state of business development,
Yeah.
and I think they found that like a growing segment of the way that many AEC firms are structured is around the doer-seller model. And then the Rainmaker model is kind of dwindling. How have you seen that? Like, what are the different business development models that you've seen in construction firms?
So Scott Butcher over at Stanbon Ness has done so much research on this. But one of the things they're not breaking out. Like I really just work in construction. In my entire 20-year career in this industry, it's probably 98% construction, 2% engineering. I've
That's why I
hardly
wanted to
touched
drill
art.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's I think that's one of the things that's really tainting things is architects and engineers have more of the professional services model that you'd see in a law firm, an accounting firm, things like that, and even maybe in an ad agency marketing firm. Construction doesn't. There's still so much hard bid that's going on and so much negotiated. So their two forms of business development are generally founder led and then outside business developers, like pure business developers. They're not swinging it. And you still need your project managers. And in the last few years, you've seen this project executive role kind of step up. And it's kind of a step above even being a senior PM, and they're a little bit more the business. And some of the bigger companies have both a project executive and a project manager. The project manager is focused on the schedule and the labor, essentially the budget. And the project executive is essentially in charge of the client, maintaining that client relationship and mentoring those project managers. So you're getting a little bit from the field, but the mid-sized companies to the small companies are definitely more founder led, and that's a huge issue because as the company grows, the essentially that becomes the ceiling is their founder-led rainmakers. And it's also a huge issue in acquisitions. I was talking to a buddy, he's actually not in construction, but he's struggling because the owner's 90% of business development. He's a business developer. He feels like he's handcuffed. And I'm like, hey, when's your owner want to retire? Sell the company 10, 15 years, like 3. I'm like,
Oh shit.
if he doesn't get out the way of and build a sales process that doesn't involve him, he's literally hurting his margins like 3 to 4, maybe 5x multiples because he is the company. That company is so risky that if he steps out in a year or two, the company falls apart.
It's
Like
a
he has
lifestyle
to build
business.
system, correct? And it's a big lifestyle business at this point. But it's like,
Yeah.
he's got like 30 employees in this. It's a I'm trying not to give too much away, but it's a technology type hardware company. And, but he's been in the company 15, 20 years, built it all up, but like, they've never built out the sales and marketing processes to offset him. And I'm like, you're killing your resale value essentially. And
So
he doesn't see
when
it.
you encounter, I'm sorry, Perryn, when you
Yeah.
encounter that situation, I'd love to know, like, how do you typically advise someone in that situation to where there is the founder-led sale,
Yeah.
the company grows to the point where that needs to change. There needs to be some
Yeah.
transition. 3 years is like a pretty like balls to the wall timeline to get that
Yeah.
done. But what do you typically advise in that situation?
A lot of it is just the acknowledgement that that's a problem. Like that's really the biggest hurdle, obviously. And then it's also it's being patient. They're not going to replace decades of networking and relationship
Right.
building and past clients and plug that into someone. So the hard part is having the patience, but also not letting somebody BS their way. I sit in on most of my clients' sales meetings, and it's the nice thing is being 1 foot in. I know the company all, but being 1 foot out because I'm a fractional. Is I'm like, hey, didn't that person say the same thing the last 4 weeks? Like, what's really going on? And I can dig into the HubSpot or whatever CRM they're using. I can just kind of go, okay, there's no activity here. Like, some of it is just in getting the Rainmaker to document stuff in their CRM is also super hard because they just do it. They just there's a text. I don't like we need to document like you need to show the sports like so there's no processes. So we have to build the processes. We have to tweak the processes. Like a lot of it is just kind of like sitting down to do. Like I had one company we acquired years ago, a company I was with, and it was another founder led, and they also got good about it inbound, which is cool. And we hired a salesperson, and the first week was how does the proposal get out the door? We didn't know. I acquired the company. I was, part of the acquisition team. I was head of marketing, and it was essentially just, low owner kind of threw a number at us and threw it out. It was like he just did it all. Well, he's not here anymore. So how are we going to do it now? And we had to build out that process, and it was just generally kind of a workflow, like a diagram workflow. And then, okay, let's try that out for a month and let's tweak it. And what is this? They never had a CRM. Let's build out CRM. Like it was just kind of weird. Of like this is an established, like 20-year-old company doing fairly well enough to be acquired. The founders could retire, but they had no sales and marketing processes. It was all just shoot from the hip.
That is so wild that they were able
Oh,
to
dude, wait,
grow.
whoa! It's the wild, but super common. It's
No way,
super
really.
common.
Okay. Well, then there you go. I think that's like the golden nugget is that's like the big thing that's broken.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
lack of processes.
John, I've met multiple billion-dollar contractors that have no CRMs.
Jesus.
Not one or two. I mean, I would say the majority has CRMs. Whether they use them enough, that's a different question. But I've
Yeah,
had
no.
multiple billion-dollar contracts. Now, one of my finally, I got to know well enough, and I was asking them one day. I was like, I need to just ask you, why? Why did you guys never pull the trigger on a CRM? It's like, we didn't have one at 50 million. We didn't have one at 100 million. Like, there's just like, we never had one. It was just, and finally, the breaking point was the VP of Business Development was retiring. And they kind of realized a lot of institutional knowledge had been retiring the last decade. And they had like, we have to stop. We have to institutionalize it. And that's a big change from, they had already gone from founder led to kind of like tribe led. Like they had a good group of lieutenants, like second, third command type people that stepped up and really ran the company. But now the company continued to grow, and now it's okay. It went from that one founder, maybe with a couple of people, to maybe like 10 to 12 people. But now you're talking like 50 people are in management now. Like it has to be more of an institution, and that's a big transition. Whether you're a big
Yeah.
billion-dollar contractor or you're a 20 million contractor, you got to move, and that's the issue we see with just construction in general. That the guy working out of his truck then gets an office with an office manager, and then you see a lot of these business consultants even talking about, they add in a controller, they add in a business, and all of a sudden they're making 10 times more than they used to gross, but they're actually making less money with a lot more headaches. And they've got to jump that chasm to really have mature all those systems up so they actually can be out of the business making money. It's all this, so there's all these kind of jumps, and every ceiling I kind of feel like there's these glass ceilings. I felt it when I worked at a marketing firm. I felt it when I was marketing an IT firm. I feel it in a construction company. Like there's these ceilings that like you got to break through and then jump that chasm, and it's going to be painful. And it's so sometimes the question that I have with clients is like, are you okay if this is going to take 3 to 5 years? And that's like, no, I don't want it to. I want to be out in 2 years. Okay, well then let's not do that. Let's let that be their problem. But like there's this huge transition to that founder led to institutional, especially when the founder's name is on the door.
Well, Perryn, I think this is a fascinating conversation, and I think you've highlighted definitely two big things that are broken about business development in construction: nailing your ICP, and then going from that founder-led sale to an institution-led sale, like you said. So, Perryn, thank you so much for sharing your perspective on that. For folks that are listening, where can they find you?
LinkedIn, and my company website's altcmo.net.
All right. Connect with Perryn on LinkedIn and check out altcmo.net. Thank you, Perryn.
Appreciate it, Jeff.